This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction after every game. My name is Jonathan Shields. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. Who knew Jake Mangum was good in a high fastball in that last pitch? Because I would have bet my life savings that pitch was going to him. I mean, the book's out on Jake Mangum, and it's been out for a while. Throw high fastballs. He always swings. Frustrating. There's been a stretch of Rays games like this where there's a lot of this against the Cubs, too, where I felt like the Rays played well enough to win. I'm not going to say like the Rays deserved to win tonight because I don't think they did, but the Rays played well enough to win tonight, and they put themselves in advantageous situations to get that big swing to take the lead, and they never could. They would get the hits here and there, but in the fourth inning, the fifth inning, the eighth inning, the ninth inning, just couldn't come up with the big one to kind of take it across. And a lot of times you had the guys up at the plate that you wanted to. But, you know, the Blue Jays have been good in close games all year, and they prevailed once again tonight. But we'll talk about how Pepiot struggled tonight, and a lot of good depth pieces in this bullpen. I've been high on Cole Souser for a while. How about Gerber coming off the street, not pitching a major league game like 5 years, doing fairly well, and just other pieces like Engler, who's obviously on the IL now, and yeah, more pieces like that. And I want to ask you guys, what would you rather see? You know, obviously the Rays aren't going to make the playoffs. They are now 73 and 77. Would you rather see them get to 500, for example, or would you rather see them lose more to get a higher chance of the number one overall pick? It's an interesting thing that's not talked about enough. But first, we got to talk about how the Rays just could not get the big hit.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So the Blue Jays jump on early. George Springer looks like vintage Astros George Springer. They score in the first, and they score 3 in the third. All of a sudden, it's 4-0, and then you get a Brandon Lowe home run that probably wasn't a home run. To be completely honest with you, it looked like a lot more fan interference than I thought. But then the Rays started to get their opportunities. In the fifth inning, you got a runner to first and third, and then Josh Lowe against the lefty. It's painful to watch. He is, I believe the number is 33 strikeouts, 18 hits against the lefty this year. Just painful to watch. Happens there in the fifth. So the fifth, with the runner's score position, can't come through. In the sixth, it happens again. You get second and third, 1 out, and you get Bob Seymour up, can't come through. And then Chandler just rips one to third, and unfortunately can't find the grass. And then the eighth, it happens again. Tristian Grey, who, by the way, Tristian Grey has been fantastic recently. We'll touch on him in a second. And then I don't love pitch hitting Nick Fortes there. I understand the logic behind it, but yeah, I just did not love it. Did not love the Nick Fortes move there, even though he's been hitting it well this season. Because it gets a decision where, would you rather see Bob Seymour against a lefty or Nick Fortes against a righty? I would have chose a lefty because he hasn't really been in the zone. But obviously Kevin Cash knows about Bob Seymour's splits throughout the minors against lefties better than I do, but can't come through there. And then obviously the ninth is where I think we get to our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
You have your guys up. Chandler gets on, uses his speed to create havoc. Brandon Lowe does a job. I thought he was really good staying on the off-speed pitch, just getting enough, getting into center. Junior had a really good at-bat. The thing I love about Junior is in the big moments, he almost always at least puts up a good at-bat. The only one that recently that stands out that maybe he didn't was the Cubs game on Sunday, where he was kind of all over the place. But puts a really good at-bat, gets the first and second. And then Josh Lowe has been so disappointing this year. And now, Josh Lowe is a half second or a quarter of a second too early on a swing, or else we're talking about the Rays walking off and Josh Lowe's the hero. So, like, the margins here are super thin. But I need to see Chris Morel get more reps in the outfield. I'm sorry. I don't know if that means sitting Josh Lowe, God forbid, against a righty one day so Morel can get a start. I don't know if it's sitting Jake Mangum for a day. Chandler Simpson plays center. But what do you have to lose? Play Morel on left against a righty one day. Play Chandler in center, and then do whatever you want in right field between Josh Lowe, Jake Mangum, Everson Pereira if you want to play him in center. Some of these guys, the Rays are out of it. Some of these guys that need to get looks for next year should be playing more. And it is just frustrating to see. But as again, we go to the ninth inning. I said it before. A lot of you guys weren't here when I said it. Who knew a high fastball was going to Jake Mangum on the last pitch? Because I would have bet my life savings that it was coming. I mean, he is, and there's no one that's a bigger fan than Jake Mangum than me. But my goodness, he swings at every single high fastball. I've never seen him take one. And that's an exaggeration, but I know he has. But this, when you look at it, it's at his eyeballs, and he's swinging at a ton of them. Like, I feel like over 90% of the time he's swinging at those high fastballs. The Rays need a right-handed bat in the outfield so desperately. It's not funny. That is priority number one going into the offseason. Because Josh Lowe cannot hit lefties, hasn't been able to hit lefties his whole career. At the best, he's a platoon option for next year. You can't have Jake Mangum, Chandler Simpson each playing every day, because neither of them in this day and age provide any sort of power. So either you can alternate them, they can play every. So if you play 7 games, they can in a week, they can play 2 of them together. But I mean, their OPS just isn't where it needs to be in a starting outfield. Like the starting outfield next year can't be Jake Mangum, Chandler Simpson, Josh Lowe. I don't even think you can roll out Chandler Simpson, Johnny DeLuca, Josh Lowe, or Jake Mangum, Johnny DeLuca, Josh Lowe. Whatever way you want to format it, I don't think you can. And yeah, it's just frustrating because, the Rays, the Rays aren't a playoff team this year. I've noticed that in July and into August, but what differentiates playoff teams is the Rays recently, as I'm going to go to the schedule real quick just to see. Against the Cubs, I really thought they should have won almost all those games. So they're in every game, should have won them. Yesterday, you had every opportunity to win the game. You couldn't do it. Today, you have opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to win that game, and you couldn't. And it's just falling a little bit short, just a little bit short every time. And, when the Rays were rolling in 22, 23, 2021, they were coming through in those moments. And that's where I feel it a lot. And obviously, look, the Rays had 7-game win streak. They won 9 of 10. They had the dominant month of July. So it's there. But what concerns me with the core of this team is going to be back next year. And games like this, again, I think you see the loss of Jonathan Rodney even more, in my opinion. But next year, when you're looking at a lineup of, Chandler Simpson, Yandy, Brandon Lowe Jr., Jonathan Rodney as your top 5, that's really a top 5. Where, especially in the outfield, are you going to be able to supplement some of that and provide some Josh Lowe can't be the best hitter in your outfield next year if he's doing what he's doing the last 2 years. I understand people want to hang on to 2023 Josh Lowe, and rightfully so. He was one of the best outfielders in baseball that year. But, he did stuff only Ronald Acuna did that year. But, eventually you gotta kind of look in the mirror and see that maybe he's not that, especially not against left-handed pitching. But we have all offseason to talk about that. We'll talk about Ryan Pepiot. And I asked this question again. I'll ask it again. What would you rather see from the Rays? Either keep losing, get a higher draft pick, get to 500. We'll talk about all of that right after this. This episode is brought to you by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There's so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why I give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. It's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root cause of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And the best part about it, it's simple. 4 pills with a meal, no prescription. It's easy. See thicker and stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping. We go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy of the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price that you pay. And fees are included. Know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And you guys, last home series of the year, only 5 home games left. Make sure you guys get out there to Steinbrenner. The last time the Rays are going to play in an outdoor stadium at home, probably ever. So I knock on wood, hopefully. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. And lastly, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season's here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across this app. And FanDuel is the best because you can bet however you like with a player props, same game parlay, live action, whatever you want. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Again, if you guys are in the live, make sure you guys leave a like and comment. We'll be getting to them momentarily. I did want to shout out Tristian Grey again. He has been so good for the Rays, and it's someone that I would love to see back next year in some platoon role. So if it's between him and Taylor Walls, I'd rather have Tristian Grey, obviously. Hitting 278 this month. Since the 19th of August, he has just been fantastic. And this was someone who was one of the worst qualified hitters for a time before that stretch. So shout out Tristian Grey. He's been doing some fantastic stuff. So I asked that question. I will get to your comments. So some of you guys comment about that. But yeah, also, I really think there's a lot of good depth. I'm going to keep talking about this bullpen because I'm really high on it. Like you look at Cole Sulser, who just comes in and keeps doing his job. You know, again, a guy 35 years old. He's been around the league. He was actually with the Rays in 2019, with Baltimore, Miami, Arizona, Mets, back with the Rays. Knows his role and he does his job. He's allowed one run since. So he was here in June. They got sent down. In his last 7 innings, he's only allowed one run. This whole year, he's only allowed 5 earned runs in almost 18 innings. That's really good. And he's a guy that's probably your last guy in your bullpen. And like, he's probably not going to even be on the roster next year, but I'm saying the Rays' ability to find these guys is so impressive that it just keeps going over and over and over again. So let's get to the game tomorrow, as the Rays will be facing old reliable arm for Toronto. It's Kevin Gausman, who has been really good for a really long time, and he's really good again this year. 10-10 with a 3.4 ERA. He's 34 now. You know, he's with Baltimore for a long time, but is now in his 4th year with Toronto. And he's had success against the Rays in the past. Earlier this year, the Rays rocked him, though. 5 2/3, 10 hits, 6 earned in his only start against the Rays this season. But last year especially, he had a lot of success against the Rays in a start in May last year. Went 6 innings, actually picked up the loss. But the first start of the year, he started opening day against the Rays last year, only gave up 2 hits in that outing. So I guess the Rays have hit him fairly well his last 2 outings, but I remember Kevin Gausman being really, really good against the Rays. And he's going up against Ian Seymour, who is kind of hitting that wall that every rookie pitcher hits, but now he gets to have all the opportunity to kind of work through it. And I'm excited to see how he's going to do that. I think his stuff's really good. So hopefully he can continue to go out there and provide some depth and, improve that he's the guy that could take the last spot in the rotation going into next year. So let's get to the comments as we go to Douglas first. He says, couldn't get the big hit again. Josh Lowe, the disappointment again. Yeah, it just feels like Josh Lowe can't get out of his own way. His bat average is going to be right around where Chris Morel is. And look, the bats are different, but I'm on the train where Chris Morel should be playing more. We have nothing to lose these last 2 weeks. Play him more. RWB says, two-May strain once again, just could not get up, could not come up with a big hit. Mike talks about what I talked about, all 3 strikes to Magnum were a high level. And you knew that last one was coming, man. You knew it was coming. And he still cannot lay it off. If Douglas says lose to get a higher draft pick, yeah, that's probably where I would lean as well. As we go to Mike, he says reliever Brian Baker has really good numbers in the last 20 games he has worked. We touched on that yesterday. Yeah, he has been really, really good. RWB again, he says, curious how much they can move the needle regarding draft position at this point. You never know. The Rays could finish there for 73 wins now. They could finish with 75 wins. I don't think they will necessarily. I think they'll be in that 78 to 80 range. But yeah, they can still do some work there. So what Alexander said, it's just sad to watch this team. Please move Tristian Grey up in the order. Why is Josh Lowe betting so high? He's been a non-factor. It's because they're holding on to what it was 2023, and they're going to keep giving him every opportunity to prove that he is that. Again, let's go to Gary. Says disappointing loss. 2 teams headed in opposite directions for the season of the Rays. Outfield situation is a huge question mark going next season. You could see 3 new outfielders for the Rays next year. I think Chandler's going to be there regardless. I think Jake Mangum is great as your 4th outfielder. Playing, if you're playing 7 games in a week, he's playing 3 or 4 of them. That's where I see Jake kind of long term, because him and Chandler are very similar, very, very similar. Jake's actually a lot better in the field, but bat wise, very similar. Sprint speed, Chandler has him by a little bit, but they do a lot of the same things well. But and I value Jake Mangum a ton. It's just, I don't think you can roll out for 162 games next year, Chandler Simpson and Jake Mangum. And this is who I was referring to, Doug Bautista, friend of the program, Evan Klosky, treated Josh Lowe this year against lefties, 102 at-bats, 33 Ks, 18 hits. It's bad. It is bad. Mike Ajax, how far did the Blue Jays go this year? A lot of angry Blue Jays in the comments section of the YouTube video yesterday, saying some very rude things about me, which I always found funny. But I'm not high on the Blue Jays. I'll say it again. It can prove me wrong. I'll be shocked if the Blue Jays make the World Series. I don't love the rotation compared to other rotations they're going to go against. I will take the Red Sox rotation over theirs. I'll take the Mariners rotation over theirs. I would take Fried and Rodon in a Yankee series against their rotation. I'll take the Tigers rotation against theirs as well. And that's nothing against Berrios, Gosman, everyone they have rolling out there. But, that's how I feel. That's my opinion on the Blue Jays. And, I've had the unique privilege when covering the Rays this year that I've seen every single team play at least 3 times against the Rays this year. So I have a feel for every team, especially the playoff teams in the American League. And I love the Blue Jays lineup, especially when Bo Bichette comes back with Springer, Bichette, with Vladdy, obviously, who's one of the best players in baseball. But, when I'm looking at the other teams in the American League, they're just teams I trust more, to be completely honest with you. And, I hope the Blue Jays prove me wrong. I have nothing against Toronto. I have nothing against the Blue Jays. I remember vividly, Jose Bautista, going yard in that kind of atmosphere at the Rogers Center where they play. But so, I hope they have success in the playoffs. But, if you're asking me, do I think the Blue Jays can make the World Series? No, I would pick 4 teams over them in the American League. So, and I've seen all those teams play at least 6 times this year against the Rays. So I feel like I'm very well informed to kind of speak on it. As we go to Gary, says Simpson, Magnum, DeLuca, Morel, Josh Lowe, Pistachios, Pereira, Peters, Meisner, Fairchild, and Hummel are all organizational outfield options. Trades and free agency options need to be considered. Pereira, Peters, Meisner, Fairchild, Hummel are not guys that I think will even, or Meisner might be, but the rest would probably not be affiliated with this organization next year. It is tough. As we go to Gary, he says, have heard some sound bites from Kevin Cash about last games at Steinbrenner. He definitely seems like he can't wait to get back to Trop. Can't say I blame him. Whoever thought the Rays would miss the Trop, the Trop gets, I feel like I've always said the Trop kind of gets a bad rap. Like, it's not great. Obviously, it's not great, but, everyone said that, like, every single game of Steinbrenner gets sold out. There's 8,000 people in the stands the last 2 days. Like, wherever the stadium is, there's going to be issues because people are not going to want to cross the bridge. That's an entirely different conversation. I get it, but, and I don't care where the stadium is. I just care if it's in the Tampa Bay area. But, a lot of those people just not great. But as we go to Mike, it's just because Cash leave the Rays, not this year. No, Kevin Cash will be the manager in 2026 unless something crazy happens with the new owners or something crazy would have to happen or something very unexpected would have to happen for Kevin Cash to leave. I think Kevin Cash is getting a bad rap for what happened this year. Has he been perfect this year? No. There's 5, 6, 7 games right off the top of my head that he had a very high rate in having the Rays lose. But he's still one of the 3 best managers in baseball, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But again, I appreciate all you guys for coming, and you guys had great comments today. Thank you guys for all the comments live. Again, cherish all these Rays games because you'll be sitting here in the first week of November saying, man, I miss watching the Rays play. And you're going to have to wait till the end of March to see them. So, again, I appreciate all you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys leave a like before you get out of here. If you're an angry Blue Jays fan, mad that I said the Blue Jays are not going to make the World Series, also leave a like. Might as well. You guys already came all the way over here just to see a reaction about the Blue Jays. It's always funny when Blue Jays fans get mad, or other teams fans, it's happened a lot throughout the year, get mad when we don't talk about their team on a Rays-centric podcast. I always just find that funny where people literally comment, why isn't he talking about Blue Jays players or name Blue Jays player here? Because it's a Rays podcast where we're going to talk about the Rays, obviously. And the Rays have a ton of stuff to discuss, and we'll get into even more of it tomorrow. Same time tomorrow, 7:35, first pitch. It is Seymour versus Gosman, and let's hope that the Rays can break this skid where, again, they're playing well. Offense is playing well. I feel like the Rays are playing well, just not getting those results. Hopefully they can get back on track tomorrow. So hopefully we'll see you guys then.